my channel. Today I will be creating a Dollar Tree Christmas DIY sign. This high-end Dollar Tree DIY is so cheap and easy to make. It cost me for both pieces about $2.50, but I only used less than half of the material to create it. And you can find these type of signs on Etsy shop for approximately $60 or so, give or take, depending on the size and what you want on it. I would like to mention that today's video is a start of my Christmas in July series. I will have, for next week or so, I will be posting tons of Christmas DIY inspirations. So make sure you have that notification pressed so you don't miss any of my uploads. So I picked up this canvas, which is the largest canvas that the dollar store sells, and I like using these if you have watched my videos, and I love the frame that's inside of them. This time around I will not be using the canvas, so I take it apart and I will keep the canvas for another project. And if this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. My name is Sonja, and on my channel you will find thrift flips, trash to treasures, dollar store DIYs, and furniture makeovers. I also have a home and a cooking channel, which will all be linked down below. Then I go ahead and stain this frame with very thin wood stain in dark walnut. And I use a rag to stain it as usual. I have also picked up this blackboard from Dollar Tree. It is just a black foam board, and it's great if you're trying to create that blackboard chalkboard look. I traced the frame on top of the blackboard, and the blackboard will be my backing for this frame. Now for the next part, I was thinking about using a Cricut machine, but I thought it might be just easier for me to write it, but you can totally use a stencil or make a stencil on a Cricut machine or just use the vinyl cutout from the Cricut machine. I'm using this white chalk marker to write my Merry Christmas out, and I'm just using a picture on my phone as a guide for my writing.
It's cold outside, but the fire keeps us warm. We can spend the night underneath the mistletoe, and I've gotten you a present that I put under the tree. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for you and me. The snow is falling down and the storm is on its way, but as long as you're around, everything will be okay. 'Cause all I wanna do is spend this holiday with you. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for me and you. I've longed for this moment to have you for myself in a cabin out in nowhere.
Now when I add the thickness to my letters, I always go to the parts of the letter that go down and I make those thicker.
It's Christmas, the first for you and me. Another year went by, but the difference this time is that ever since July, I've been happier than I have ever been. It's safe to say that my love for you is true. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for me and you. I've longed for this moment to have you for myself in a cabin out in nowhere, just us and no one else. I've decorated everything to be perfect for this week. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for you and me.
Last thing that I do is I add some rope to the back so I can hang it up. I'm using hot glue, but you can also use staples. I didn't have good enough staples. I only had strong staples and I was worried it was gonna split the frame. So make sure you have the correct staples for that.
The wonders of life got the prettiest side for everyone to enjoy. Standing up close by the...
So here it is. I think it turned out so nice and it looks amazing on my front porch, hanging on the light post, on the light. For my next DIY, I will be using wood slices, piece of leftover burlap, and then I picked up these wine bottle gift bags, and because of the material, the fabric, and then some of these thin dowels, wood dowels. So I will be also using some pillow stuffing that I've had on hand from from a couple old pillows that I had pulled out. I will be using my Cricut machine, and through some trial and error, I finally figured out the blade that I needed to use. So I designed this Christmas tree. Well, I just took it out of the design space, and then I used a rotary blade to cut it out. I did try a fabric blade before that and it didn't quite work as good, and then I figured out that if I use my rotary blade, it actually worked really well. I am using my fabric mat for this, and there you are. So I repeat this process to cut out 3 different sizes and double of each. Once I have it all cut out, I take my hot glue gun and glue the 2 two sides together. Make sure that the inside sides face each other, and don't burn yourself. So I repeat the same process for the other two as well. Once they are all finished, I take the stuffing, and I tried with the dowel for this one, but I figured out that the pen worked a little bit easier, and I push the stuffing in as far as it'll go. Mostly it will be just the middle. It's not gonna go into the little branches, but that's okay because it does end up looking the way I wanted it to look. Once I'm finished stuffing it, I shove the little dowel inside to make it look like a piece of wood or a stem or a branch, and then I hot glue the Christmas tree shut, and I hot glue the whole thing onto a dowel, the wood slice. You have to hold this for a little while so it dries, so it doesn't move on you. I did try blowing on it just to speed up the process. And I repeat the same thing for all three of them. And here they are. I think they turned out so cute.
A beautiful wife, 2 kids, and a dog pup.
For this next DIY, I have already cut out this design. I had went on my Cricut design space, and out of my Cricut Access, I had picked out the deer head. I flipped it so it's facing that way, and then I cut it out. This cardboard comes from the back of one of those tabletop desktop calendars from my old one. And I have saved it. I was actually using it to spray paint some stuff on the other side, but it was time to use it for some crafting. So I had cut out the deer head. Now I'm going to use the deer head for a different project. And then I also have a back of an old picture frame, and I cut this cardboard to fit the back of the picture frame. So that's gonna go over here like that. But before, I will be placing it at on here with some hot glue and Mod Podge. And then for framing, I will be using some of these garden stakes that I got through the summer, and I have some of them left over still. I'm not gonna be staining them, I'm gonna use them as they are. First thing that I'm gonna do before I do anything is I'm going to give this guy a very light coat of white acrylic paint. I'm going to use this type of brush, not a sponge brush, because I find it'll just give me the more of a texture that I'm looking for. And I'm just taking some of the paint off and just brushing it lightly. So that's exactly how I wanted it to look. I wanted some of that cardboard to show through. So I'm gonna let that dry. And while that's drying, I am going to take this bag. But first I'm just going to cut off some stuff off of it. And I will definitely be using that for more projects. because I don't like to do too much of wasting, especially when items are pretty hard to come by, like these bags. And it doesn't need to fit perfectly on there because I'm gonna be taping the other stuff to the other side, covering it up. I'm actually not gonna use the Mod Podge. I'm just gonna go ahead with some hot glue. It should be okay. Shouldn't melt it, but I hope. If it does, then I'll have to move on to my other bag. It's actually pretty good. So that's pretty good. And now I'm going to cover it up with this on top.
Decorated in town, among all the tinsel and lights, I'm strolling around, just wondering.
There we go. And now I'm going to measure out my little pieces and see where they will go. So I'm going to put this one here. Just gonna mark it off where it needs to be cut. And then I'm going to cut so these two are gonna go on the top. Or on the bottom. Just the next ones are going to be shorter, and I'm just going to sand the edges a little bit. Or clean them up, I should say.
Just wondering where you have gone to. Are you just around the corner or in Kathmandu? And whether or not you're with somebody new, still I wish you the merriest Christmas. I hope it will be.
There we go. I'm using white chalk paint. I got this at a brand new dollar store that I have discovered. And I'm also using the other side of a wooden box that I picked up at Dollarama. I'm going to paint it on the inside, the top, the bottom, and the sides using a foam brush. And then I'm going to let this dry. I don't see a reason to painting the back because it's going to be leaned up against the back. And once it had a significant amount of time drying, so you want it to be fully dry. I take these tongue depressors or large popsicle sticks, and I make almost like a box out of them. I cut off the rounded parts on each side of one, and then I take another one and just cut sides that are long enough so it closes the box down, because I will be gluing the long popsicle stick at the front and then just the two on the side. So I want to cover both sides with that. So at the same dollar store, it's called My Dollar Store and More. It's kind of similar as Dollar General. I had picked up this old walnut stain, and I will be staining that with this. This is my first time using this, and I have to say I was quite impressed with the coverage and the quality of the stain. So once I paint both the front piece and the side pieces and let them dry. And while that's drying, I am going to cut out some vinyl piece on my Cricut machine. I'm fairly new to the Cricut world, so I'm learning as I go. And I had purchased this vinyl roll of it on Amazon. I will have it linked in my Amazon store. It is a little bit more shiny. I did not realize that they had matte as well, so I picked up the shiny one. Oops. Oh well, it will work for this project. And I am using a shelf liner, clear shelf liner, to transfer the image onto the box. I had picked up the clear shelf liner at Dollar Tree for $1.25. One thing that I have learned with using a Cricut machine is that every single process requires you to press real hard with this tool that I got in the set, because that is how you ensure that things are sticking and are not peeling off when you don't want them and sticking on when you want them to. Once I have it off, which takes me a little while, I wanted to be careful so none of the letters rip off. I place it carefully inside the box, making sure that it's positioned right, high enough, and that it's not too much to one side or the other. And then I use that tool again where I press like a mad woman. And voila, I absolutely love the way the reveal is. Like, it just makes me so happy when I see those letters on so well. And then I hot glue my makeshift box on. And then I use these bottle brush trees before I hot glue the sides, and I cut off the round part, the wooden part, and then I make them a little shorter, and then I glue the wooden part back on, just because the little ones were too short. These were like the medium size, were a touch too tall, so I just wanted to make them a touch shorter so that way they don't cover too much of the sign. And then I take them and I hot glue them inside the box, and then the last thing that I do is hot glue the sides to it. And I think this box turned out so cute. I absolutely loved the end result. Will be making a wreath for literally nothing. The wreath cost me $1.25 because I had all the materials on hand. So the $1.25 was this iron wreath that I had picked up at Dollar Tree. And then the rest of the supplies I already had on hand at home. The pine cones were from the garden, and one way to prepare them is you can bake them in the oven at 220 for about 20 minutes to half an hour, just to get rid of all the bugs. Then next thing I used was rope, and you can use twine, rope, it doesn't really matter what type of rope, and then hot glue with glue sticks, and I also used the snow that came from Dollarama. Now I had bought that for a different project, so technically I did not buy it for this project. So the first step is to wrap the rope around the whole wreath. This will give you a bit of a base for gluing the pine cone.
Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But
You have the whole wreath wrapped up with the rope. You want to tie it up to secure it, maybe trim off excess rope if there is any, and then now you can start gluing pine cones. I tried to do it a certain way, but I don't think it really matters. It's like a puzzle putting it together. Just glue the pine cones the way they fit.
this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. And I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and the sun said it is just getting better on a blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what we do. We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows in the...
So as you can see, I left some room in between the large pine cones to fit the smaller ones in, because I did have a lot of smaller pine cones as well.
Rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. Here we go. All right. Dance, dance, now this Christmas, we're gonna dance. We're gonna dance, 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 come on. Dance. We're gonna dance, dance, have a good time. Dance, dance, all night long. We're gonna dance, dance, and have a good time. I think Santa's gonna come and join us in this song. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in...
Once I was done gluing everything and the glue had a chance to dry a little bit, I moved on to spraying the snow onto the pine cones. Now you have to shake it constantly in order for it to work properly.
I think Santa's gonna come and join us in this song. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family.
And there you have it. Super easy, and it looks, I absolutely love the way it looks. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, I would be honored if you press the subscribe button and press the notification button so you don't miss out any of the new videos I post. And until next time, have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching.
Making angels in the sand.